stone, 1 wood, 1 iron, 1 brick, and 1 paper. Dorrie listened raptly because she'd never heard the story of the library's beginning. In each wall appeared a black archway, pricked as full of searing starlight as the sky above. In a short time, on the other side of 4 of the archways, 4 rooms coalesced out of the dark. 1 was full of books, 1 of mud tablets, 1 of papyrus scrolls, and 1 of wooden blocks. In time, Petrarch would learn that each was a library that lay in a different wherein.
A wherein is a particular place and time, said Philip. 11th century Rome or 14th century Kathmandu.
It means where and when, all in one word, added Marcus. But what about the 5th archway? Asked Dorrie impatiently. The 5th archway showed Petrarch's sky, a bit of land, and beyond it, a sea, said Mistress Wu. Passing through it, he found himself no longer in a mountain meadow, but standing on a rocky island beside a 5-sided tower, the sea stretching in all directions. Mistress Wu explained how Petrarch's library had grown steadily larger over the 400 years it had existed. How could it not? She asked, taking out a handkerchief and looking as devastated as only Mistress Wu could look. Every time someone destroys a library out in the wherins, or lets one fall to wreck and ruin, its ghost squeezes into Petrarch's library where it can. She dabbed at her eyes and then perked resolutely up. But it's no graveyard. She explained how new archways materialized every so often, secretly connecting Petrarch's library to lively, perfectly functional spoke libraries in new centuries. When Mistress Wu seemed to have finished, Philip reached for a pickle. During the first 100 years the Lybrariad and Petrarch's library existed, a good portion of Europe and North Africa and the Near East were still under the control of the Foundation.
The what?
Asked Dorrie's father. The Foundation, repeated Mistress Wu. Bad people, said Dorrie. Total control freaks, added Marcus. I'm sorry, said Dorrie's mother, as though she'd heard just one incredible thing too many. But I've studied a good bit of history, and I've never heard that Europe, North Africa, and the Near East were ever under the control of something called the Foundation. You wouldn't have, said Mistress Wu, because the Lybrariad has spent the last 400 years, Petrarch's library time, changing history out in the wherins as we fought the Foundation. The Foundation is now only a shadow of a footnote of a legend. She made her voice gentle. The history you currently know isn't the history that always was. Dorrie's mother stared at Mistress Wu, looking flushed. I feel a bit dizzy. And half like you might have to throw up, said Dorrie eagerly. That's how I felt when I first heard how it all worked. An entirely natural reaction, said Mistress Wu. Very disorienting. Do you need to lie down? Do you want a cold compress? Menelik knows some wonderful Persian lullabies.
Oh, she's fine, Marcus answered for his mother. Mom loves amusement park rides. All right, said Dorrie's father, a scoff in his voice. What was this Foundation all about, then? Back in Petrarch's day, said Philip, reaching for another pickle, the Foundation kept tight control over the people in its territory. Part of how they did it was to keep written language all to themselves.
No one but Foundation members could learn to read and write, said Mistress Wu. The skills were closely guarded secrets forbidden to most people, and the penalties for teaching or learning were— She glanced at Miranda, who was now curled up asleep between Menelik's feet. Severe. Over time, the Lybrariad succeeded in chiseling away at the Foundation's control of reading and writing, and our work shifted to rescue missions. Rescue missions? Said Dorrie's mother faintly.